So, first question, I appreciate we've all been sat down for a little while, so just a bit of audience participation, if you would, please. So who was here last year? Hands up. Cool. Good to see. Keep them up. Won't be too long. Okay, so of that audience, the ones that haven't got their hands up, who's been to another similar AI summit? Okay, well, welcome to the best. Never mind. And then, okay, everyone else hands down, just so it's easy. Who's a newbie? Who's the first time? Great to see. So you've never been to another AI conference, so you don't know what to expect. Excellent. Well, there we go. So it's good to see this. It's a great community. Welcome to the community. It was my first time last year, and I've come back because I want to be part of this community. So if you're new to it, welcome. There's loads of great conversation, and I'm going to reflect on a little bit of last year, but I'm going to take you also a bit further back. So again, probably rule number one, don't alienate your audience, so I'm going to do that right now. So first of all, this is my effort of understanding our audience. So who works in a sort of technical, because we've got different people in these rooms, who works in the sort of deep AI knowledge, codey type stuff? I clearly don't, because I'm doing all the disservice. Anyone in the room who sort of would fit in that category? Great to see. Okay, and then there's the bit that breaches the gap between the codey bit and then there's a sort of business element that we get into. So who works in the sort of hybrid role-y piece? Anyone would sort of consider? Cool. And then we've got the business people, because none of this is done by free. Cool. So you people have got the money. Great stuff. And then we've got the government agencies, the ones, the dictators of we must comply and all that. Anyone of the... unlucky. Cool. And there's a point, and it's good to distinguish this, and we need to distinguish it, because we all play a part. So I sit there, and I sit in this business category, hence the fraud. How much do I know about AI? I know a little bit, but I rely on these networks, because I rely on you to be as good as you can be, because I don't know it. And for me to know all those areas, I haven't got the bandwidth. I don't have the... And some of it, the legislation, I don't have the interest, I'll be honest. So this is JLR's take on it, and I need to take you back in time. And if you go, JLR, I've got an opinion, forget the brand. This is just, and you'll see, this is about solving problems from a business aspect. So that's JLR, but forget, like I've said, JLR. We deliver a product that is pushing the envelope in terms of technology. The complexity that we have on our vehicles today is astounding. And we have a term in our little world, we've JLR'd it. We over-engineer things. We make it more complicated than possibly it needs to be. But in terms of what we're trying to do, we're trying to deliver a product that excites our client, our end user, the people that buy it. So take JLR off, and I think any business person probably fits in that category. You want to deliver a product that people want, and when they start using it, they want more of it. They want to come back. They want to keep buying it, because that's how we keep a business going. And by design, we'll engineer things, and we'll test them, and we'll do more testing, and when we're ready, we'll release it to the public. So whilst we can suggest that engineering will get it right, we can't rely on it. We'll always have problems. So whilst I talk about an automotive, you might be going, I'm going to switch off because it's time for the toilet, and away they go. Don't consider it as, just consider it, because I would argue, all right, JLR could be the same as Audi, as BMW. Let's consider the human body. That's a complex system. That operates in a certain environment, and it has a user input, as in if it's my body, it's me, how I do things is going to cause problems. So if we're talking about healthcare, this is sort of the same thing. It's just I know more about cars, one would argue, than bodies. So don't come to me with any of your ailments in terms of problems on that side. So this is what it looks like in terms of when it goes wrong. And again, some people may not have a car, but I think you can appreciate. It either goes wrong, you're driving your car along the side of the road, and it falls over, whatever falls over looks like, it stops working, or actually you perceive it not to be working. So things like we get experience such as, hey, my Apple CarPlay doesn't connect to my car. That is a cause for concern for somebody. So that's on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you could drive it into a retailer and say, see this ain't working, give you the keys, I want it fixed, or whatever that looks like. And I purposely kept the picture on the right because it is a data-driven organisation we work in. And we touched on the importance of data, etc. We can't guess at these things. We try, but we often get it wrong. But from a client perspective, same as, let's go back to the... So the doctor, you don't want them to get it wrong. If you're going to go in there with an ailment, they've got to be on the money. When you've got a car, when you've got any product, whether it's a washing machine, you don't want the person to come out and have a go at fixing it. No, they need to fix it. So that's not lost on us. And ultimately, that's the happy path. If they have to have an issue, you get them in there, you sort amongst it, and you do what you need to do, and you get them back on the road, loving life. And that's our model. Problem is, where I sit in the world in terms of technical support, and this is where it comes back to where does my chatbot work to fit? It services the technical support team, so the retailer technician. It doesn't meet the needs of the client directly in the sense of the client's not going to speak to me. But the client is absolutely the judge of our technical support. If they have an issue, and on occasion one could argue they have far more issues than what they need to have, but that's the way it is, they will be the judge of our service, not the technician, even though we're here. And we have a term in JLR in the sense of we're just difficult to do business with. We've got so many systems. So to be a technician, you've got to know all them systems and how they all integrate. And if I get it wrong, you're not going to get paid for the work that you do. If you get it wrong, the customer will be back in and shouting in terms of... So there's a real pressure piece. So we put in our world technical support in terms of what we've got today in market. So let's just we're on a global scale, and this is what JLR operates. So we've got a case in Japan, and our retailer needs help. And we're here to support them. So that's our technical support model. It's in market. Why? Because we've talked about it, the experts in the room. We're rubbish at translation. And as an Englishman, I speak one language, and one could argue I don't speak that very well. So the Japanese technician has to speak to someone in Japanese. And actually, if you're thinking about it, whilst all this is going on, our client is drinking tea or coffee in the reception. So we've got to be fast with this. So there's no point sending a case, hello, I need some help, all the way to the UK, because there's a lot of tea to be drunk before I can get back with an answer, or indeed my team. So the sort of scale looks, that's one out in America, that case, so this would be an American case that we support. Now, if they need help, because there's only so much knowledge they know about it, they can ask, they put their hand up and say, I need help. And we've got a system that then allows them to escalate that up, which is great. So that's our base in Gaydon, lovely building as it is. We don't work there, we work in a little port shed around the back because we're the dirty end of the business, nobody likes us, but let's not go down that road. So they need help, but that's come from now, in this case, North America, Japan, wherever in the world it's come to the UK. We've got a problem now that customers drinking a lot of tea, they need to think about mobility, so we need to have alternative solutions. Not every case needs to go there, but the ones that do. And then we get these guys, the engineers, the evil ones. Why did you design it like that? Why did you not speak to us? And these are the ones that have got real depth of knowledge. And some of them bore me within about 2 minutes. I'm normally switching off because I'm like, you've got too much knowledge. It's not really my forte. I'm sure there is a world in which they excel, but that's not for me. But yeah, they're the ones that absolutely develop, and why do they do it? And some of these people don't really live the life of the customer, so actually we've given them a feature that nobody actually wants or uses. Brilliant. And it's true to say, obviously, the higher up the scale you go, the more depth of knowledge, but that takes longer, and people pore over data sources, etc. But ultimately, we're trying to get that information back to source. And whatever we learn about it, say, hey, who knew after this certain environment something goes wrong? We try and feed that information back. The days of those little black books of knowledge we're trying to get rid of, but they still exist. In terms of volumes, let's just say globally, as an easy number, I have 100,000 cases a year. And of those 100,000, most of them are fixed at the first level. So we're pretty good at sharing our knowledge down wherever, and that's maybe training. And again, we've talked about, the need for upskilling people. Every time our engineer changes something, if they don't tell us, our client will, and then we have to learn, that feature used to do that, but then the engineers decided whether it's legislation, so they're forced to, or whether there's something, the business has decided we're moving. we can move on in that way. But ultimately, we're trying to get the client back on the road as soon as they can. So what does it look like? So this is our first element where it needs to go from the retailer into a local technical support, as we call it. So there's our vehicle in distress. And that's the retailer saying, I'm sort of looking at it. But now he needs some help, so he'll go to the contact center, as it were, the local technical support. And then it goes back, and we have this email-y type, it's not an email, but we have this dialogue going on, and ultimately we try and get this resolved, and the car go back, and the client loving life again. And that takes about generally 1 to 2, 3 interactions. Some of them are horrendous, we can have 30 interactions. But ultimately what we get is we get data, and that's a source that up until a few years ago, we just didn't really do anything with. We've got piles of this data, and in the office you've got all these sheets, and we just can barely get into our office space, but we've got lots of data, generally half a day. Okay, let's go up to the next scale just to give you that appreciation. Now we're going to the global engineer. So we're going up this pyramid, and there's another conversation that has to come back. So now we've just increased the time, 4, 6, 10, 12, whatever. More interactions is the bottom line. More data, more rich data, because we've now got another layer of, identifying and complexity. Generally a day, so that's where the mobility requirement comes in more often than not. And then we get the global, so this is to the engineer team, and it's very clearly and quick to see. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't, and we go backwards and forwards. Now, that's everybody. And again, whether you've got a washing machine that's breaking down, you could have that. If you need to go all the way back to the engineer, it soon builds up. That could be days, weeks, months. Now in our world, a client just wants their product back. Give me the product back. Or keep it until you fix it, in which case I'm going to find another brand. So it's important. Ultimately, we get data. We get heaps of data. 6 days is a metric that we have. And that makes it feels right. If I have a problem in my car, I'll give you the keys. Within a week, I've got it back, yeah? And again, same for the washing machine, same with a microwave dishwasher, anything that's technical. In fact, with a doctor, I don't want them to mess around. Tell me what the issue is. I might need to take, scans, data of my body, but within a week, please give me the good news, hopefully. So this is what it looks like. We find an issue. Let's say our product in the UK is having an issue, and we'll work to fix it. And there's a few tenets. We want it quickly, and we want it right first time. Don't guess at it. Do it right first time. And then we might see the same issue out in this case, New Zealand, and now I'm testing my geography. And then we might see it in the North America, South America, all over the world is the point. And then we have this thing about the time thing. It doesn't always work this way, but generally you'll get the concept. So this is where we sit. My wife is not technical, and in COVID times we were sat on our decking enjoying the sun, couldn't go to work, and she said, you've probably fixed every system on your car, you just haven't told anybody. You just haven't spoke. And we've got a system that could do that, but we never used to do that. So here we go. We could have an issue that's seen in the Australias and into China, and we haven't even got out of bed at this moment in time, but they're seeing it. Now at this point, we should be able to understand what the issue is. Why? Because there's a chance the Australian team have fixed it if we consider the hours. And so how do we take that knowledge, and then how do we use it? So in terms of coming into the European countries, we should understand these issues. We should at least have a little clue, because sometimes they're seen all over the world. And it's quite interesting. When you release any software over the air, all of a sudden if it's wrong, and there'll always be a repair per 1,000 you're expecting, you get that effect. So how do we, when the Europeans wake up, we go, this is basically what we've learned today. It's a shame if you're in the eastern sort of hemisphere, you're our guinea pigs and you're teaching us. It's not always that way. It could start any time the clock. But I think you get the idea. And then we go into a weird phase of, okay, the Americans are yet to experience this joy that's about to. So if you're planning your day to work, I could tell you before, by the way, Christoph, you need to get an Uber because your car's not starting this morning for whatever reason. So how do we avoid that? So that's the challenge. How do we get that information out? So look, this is what we've learned. This is what we want you to do. Because in each of those cases, if we don't communicate, we're learning the way to fix it every time. And you might have the right fix. You might have the right fix after about 6, 7 days, but actually you got it in 2 days. So how do we just join the dots? So that's us, in essence. That's how technical support works. And the amount of technology that we've got on our cars and the advancement, if I look at the technical support model, it's been that way for around, I don't know, 15, 20 years. So there's been very little advancement. These black books are absolutely, are you giving me our time already? That's great. Cool, that's fine. We'll zap through. So we've got lots of data. We've got a connected community. So we had in 2022 the look of, okay, what does it look like? There's options. 2022 was a rise of ChatGPT. That's where I woke up out of the shell and rock that I crawled. And last year, it's very true that actually AI is not the solution. Don't start with AI. Start with the problem. That was touched on today. So in our model, how could we use AI to help our technician? Get stakeholders. Don't do it on your own. You have to do this. And his AI solution, in terms of Nero, we understand, AI is the buzzword. It's got to be able to fix it. But actually, and there's evidence to say it, and David de Kremer was actually, 80% of our AI projects fail. So how to land in the 20% is super key. As a business, you can't afford failure. Come back to last year, you can't trust AI. Don't trust it. So you've got to have experts in the room to be able to ensure. So we keep human in the loop. We touched on this last year, the Gartner hype cycle, because everyone's got an appreciation of what AI can do. In terms of business, it's going to be huge. I'm going to be able to rewrite my business model because it's going to save us billions. Not at all. So we had to be just wise in terms of the impact. How are we going to do it? Iterative. We need to consider the models we're going to do. Which markets? Is it our friend? Is it our foe? So are we replacing people or are we assisting them? How's our culture? Are we scared of AI or are we actually receiving it? And actually, what do we think we're going to get from it? For JLR, there was lots of challenges, and we were the leaders. So we had to consider the strategy, all the usual, governance, compliance, make sure we were compliant. It's important. A business cannot embarrass themselves. Because if you get it wrong, the fines are huge. And if you want to sell a car for $1, because people can manipulate your AI, so be it. Challenges, lots of them. And we touched on them before. They're all there. We've absolutely lived it. We did it in 2022. We're the trailblazers. We don't know what the next challenge are. The success. We have had success. Fundamentally, we've saved, because that's what my bottom line is, how much money are you going to save me? I give you $1 million, I want you to save me $2 million. And we've done it. Oh, let's go back one. There you go. There's the savings. We've done it. Hurrah. Our chatbot has got so much legs. It's got more to give. So this is it. That's my community. You're part of it. This was us last year. Please join us. That concludes my presentation. I'm Neil Aviard. I'm from Jaguar Land Rover. My team is up there. Please speak to us. If you've got a product that you want to bring to me, let's talk about it. But I want to know what's coming in the future. I've already got something now. Please make it better. That concludes my bit. Thank you.
Really great presentation. And also so great that, attending last year, this year you're on stage. Fantastic speech. And I want to highlight one thing that everybody should take away from that speech. If you're thinking about, your solutions, I think the car fixing example is a perfect example because it highlights, you start with the problem, but how important that the solution of that problem is, right? You have paid 10,000s of euro or dollars for that car. If there's a problem there, you understand, how...
Shall I share a story?
Yeah, please.
I have a Fiat 500 electric car, and there's lots of software and lots of things. And as a customer, it's frustrating to be an early adopter and be the one that's the guinea pig. And that peek behind the scenes was, for me, so insightful, because now I understand when my car's in the garage for 2 weeks. That's what they're doing. Not very efficiently. Yeah. So, maybe they can learn a thing or two from Jaguar Land Rover. But I think it's a growing issue because, there's this drive for the environment and moving to electric cars, but that comes with systems which are far more complex than the engineers are ready for. So, it's a great system.
One more. I have to add one more sentence. I think this was a incredible display of, the spirit of really serving your customers. And I think that's where everybody should start. I was last week on another great conference, Nexus in Düsseldorf, and there was DHL presenting, and they said we ship 15 billion, I think, packages and letters per year. Yeah. But for us, every single package counts, because for each customer, that single package might mean the world. That's the spirit, you know. And I thought this was an incredible display of that spirit. You know, you spend a lot of time on the problem, and then at the end, I think people can come and talk to you about what you did with AI.
You know the solution. You all know it for the most. You're all
Yeah.
looking guy now to solve that problem.
It was really great. Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you.
Thank